The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Each and every year is the same exact thing. Oklahoma and Alabama, for some reason, they seem to be intertwined in this, the Crimson Nations. They'll start out somewhat slow, and then they'll come on at the end of a recruiting cycle like gangbusters and be in the top 10, top 5, and in Alabama's case, even the #1 recruiting class. As you know, this is a good case and example and point here. Alabama a couple of years ago was 52nd in like March. Ended up the #1 class by the time it was all said and done. Everybody was jumping up and down, gleefully and spastically like Mary Poppins with 3 umbrellas popping out of her ass. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Well, the same thing goes with Oklahoma. Last 3 recruiting cycles, the USC fans in particular, for some reason, seem to take it upon themselves to get on my channel, blow up my DMs on Twitter, and make little comments. And then when I call them out on it, and I post them on my community tab, like I did this guy named Otter Ruffus, I guess that's how you say his name. I'm just going to call him Otter Puss because he's a big old pudding. And they say stuff and elicit a response from me, and then they get mad because I do it. But let me tell you something. If you post a comment on my channel, it becomes property of my channel and YouTube. At that point, I can do what I want to with it. Obviously, you're subscribed to my channel. If you don't like that happening, then I guess you just have to unsubscribe. But this is your 1 minute of fame I'm giving to you. But you see, Oklahoma once again is coming on like gangbusters. They started off 48th in this last recruiting class they're ranking. I think it's the 2024 class that they're talking about in 2023. And now they're coming on once again like gangbusters. Like the 2023 class is now up to 4th. And according to On 3, the 2024 class has jumped from 48th to 17th. And we're not even halfway done. So more than likely, Oklahoma once again is going to finish probably in the top 10, maybe even top 5, while USC and the Skittle Shitters celebrate way too early and fall out of the top 10. Let's talk about it. Well, here we go again, right on in. Once again, it's the Outlaw Posse, now in effect. And today's random shutouts, as I promised, for the Outlaw Posse are Marty King, Eric Taco Marino, Sheldon Lamy, and Tim Gillespie. And if you want to get your deputization and your badge and join the Outlaw Posse, it's only $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. Just click that little join button next to the subscribe button, and you'll be mounted up and saddled up and ready to go with the college football invasion that is at hand. This is the Outlaw of College Football, and I can be located and contacted on Twitter at OCF Productions. And get right to it here. I've got numerous links and articles sent to me by our loyal listeners out there, that being Eric Taco Marino, Teresa West Sherwood Moser, longest name in history, Brendan Dunn, and also I was listening to 247 Sports, Sooner Illustrated's Colin Kennedy. Also, give me a lot of good little nuggets here to make me think that, that slow start by Oklahoma in the recruiting cycle. I think it's the 2024 recruiting cycle that they're speaking of at 48. It's sort of, like I said before, I mean, y'all celebrate way too early, man. And you make yourself look rather stupid at the end, because now they've jumped from 48th to 17th according to On 3's recruiting rankings, and they're a pretty reliable source as well. So it ain't like I'm just dragging some nobody out of the trash pile here to back up the claims that the Oklahoma people are now making about their recruiting class once again coming on big time. Each and every year, same thing. start out slow, end up in the top 10, maybe even the top 5. And they just got a couple of recruits that have committed to them. Actually, 3 recruits here in the past few days. James Nesta is a linebacker from North Carolina. He chose Oklahoma over North Carolina and Miami. He's a 2-sport athlete, and he just tried out for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So obviously he's a pretty good baseball athlete, and Skip Johnson probably had a lot to do with that as well. There's been a lot of talk about Skip Johnson, how he may deserve a spot on the Oklahoma football coaching staff, or at least the recruiting team, because he's doing a lot of recruiting for the Oklahoma Sooners football team as well. Then I'm probably going to butcher this name, Duzi Izukanama. Duzi Izukanama, a wide receiver, also from Texas. Supposed to be a pretty good wide receiver. Once again, shoring up that wide receiver spot that everybody kept trying to say that was a weak spot for Oklahoma. Well, it looks like they're addressing those needs. And as I said, On3 Sports has now moved them up from 48th to 17th. And still we're at the midway point of the recruiting cycle. So, yeah. If you can go from 48th to 17th at the halfway point, more than likely you're probably going to finish at least in the top 10 and maybe just outside the top 5 once again. And now, just yesterday, they received a commitment from Xavier Robinson, who is the top running back in the state of Oklahoma. And the big news that's been going around is that Taylor Tatum, who's the #1 running back in the recruiting cycle of 2024, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2025. If it is, y'all correct me in the comments section. But he had been long considered a lean to go to USC. But it seems like Oklahoma has really put the press on, and it looks like the pendulum has swung somewhat. And I was reading an article on The Spun the other day, and they may have accidentally slipped up and said something that maybe we were not supposed to know at this early juncture, but they were saying that Jarrett Gibson, the #2 ranked running back in the recruiting class, I think he's from Florida's IMG Academy, just committed to Texas, and they were saying that him and Taylor Tatum would be bumping heads in the Red River rivalry in the near future, like it was already a done deal. Now, if I'm not mistaken, though, Taylor Tatum has not committed to Oklahoma yet, but it has went from him being a possible USC commit to now being more in line to commit to Oklahoma. From what I've seen from one of the charts, it's got Oklahoma at maybe like 60-something%, and USC at like 33-34% is to getting this guy. And what's really crazy about this to me is that all that talk, once again, y'all did this to yourself. If you don't want me talking about you, then don't put yourself out there like that. And I won't talk about you. But you done it to yourself. There's proof that you done it to yourself with your coach, Lincoln Riley, in the offseason, in his first offseason with USC, ad nauseum, and still to this day making little interviews about how you can't recruit to Oklahoma. And yet, you've been out recruited by Oklahoma, the team you left, for USC each and every year that Brent Venables has been there. Brent Venables come into a tumultuous situation his first year and still got a top 10 class. Then, last year, he got a top 5 class. And now they're saying in 2023 that they've moved up to 4th, and he's in the top 5 again. I was looking down the list, I didn't see no USC there for 2023. And now, we got a running back by the name of Taylor Tatum, who's a great running back, #1 running back in the nation. And you mean to tell me that you're an offensive genius, supposedly. You're supposed to be this great offensive genius. And yet you're getting out-recruited by a first-time head coach. This is his first gig at Oklahoma, is Brent Venables. He's a defensive-minded coach, probably one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. And yet you're getting out-recruited. Not only are you getting out-recruited for defensive players, but you're getting out-recruited for prime offensive players. Now, sure, you might go in the transfer portal and be great at that, just like con-time Deion Sanders is. But that doesn't mean that those players are going to be great. Transfer portal's hit or miss. Obviously, those players aren't very good because they're having to leave their team because they can't start. 70 or 80% of the time, that is the case. But to continue to get out recruited and on the offensive side of the ball, it's just making you look rather stupid, man. For y'all to keep running your mouth about Oklahoma. Now, granted, this ain't all Brent Venables. You're not getting completely out recruited by a defensive guy. DeMarco Murray has been a star at recruiting ever since he's been to Oklahoma. If he could translate that into head coaching or position coaching ability, I mean, we could see DeMarco Murray possibly being a head football coach somewhere one day at a Power 5 school, in my opinion. DeMarco Murray has been that huge diamond in the rough that's become a diamond as a recruiter. And then, of course, Skip Johnson, as I mentioned before, they said that him and his staff took Taylor Tatum and showed him film on Kyler Murray and showed him the schedule that they give Kyler Murray in his venture to play baseball and football at Oklahoma. And then he won the Heisman Trophy, which shows you right there that it can be done by whatever Skip Johnson's doing. Not only can you play football and be successful, you can play baseball as well and be successful and even win the damn Heisman Trophy. So the cohesion is what's going to get y'all in the end. USC has no cohesion when it comes to recruiting across the board and just trying to band-aid stuff together. You think because you went in the damn transfer portal and lured Caleb Williams and half of Oklahoma's skill position players over there, that's going to be your bread and butter from now on. But that was just a one-time shot, a very extenuating circumstance. And if you get used to using the transfer portal all the time, I'm afraid it's going to lead to you being, like I've said before ad nauseum, you're going to be out of football altogether. You might not even get a shot to be an offensive coordinator somewhere. You might be coaching the Japanese American Football League as the punting coordinator for the Nagasaki Egg Rolls. But I don't know. You guys and gals tell me, am I being too hard on USC? Should I let up? Should I quit even talking about them? Hell, they're the ones that's always putting themselves out there, though. All they got to do is keep their mouth off of Oklahoma and all the other teams out there and quit making excuses and do what you're supposed to do, Lincoln. Get in there and recruit and get a top 10 class because Los Angeles is so much better. We got so many things to do. That's why we don't take football seriously, because we can go to transgender volleyball tournaments and and watch people taking craps on the street outside. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals, drop in the comment section. Tell me what you think about all this. Do you think that Oklahoma is once again going to finish in the top 5 in recruiting? Do you think USC is going to even get a top 10 class? Drop in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, there's a little heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. And as I've said before, you can also join the Outlaw Posse for $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week, and you'll be deputized, get your badge, and get all those little perks that are coming very soon to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams, class is now officially dismissed.